Hello and welcome to Watch Me, where you'll find reviews, comparisons, tips, and tricks on watches. Today I have with me the Halios Fairwind. This is a follow up dive watch from Helios. Their previous watch was called the Seaforth, which was highly regarded amongst watch collectors and watch aficionados. Helios is a brand out of Canada. Over the years, they have really carved a niche and they have their own dedicated fan following, and for good reason, really. Their watches have a very unique aesthetic, and the quality that you get for the price point is really quite good. The watch is sold on a bracelet, and the bracelet isn't here yet. It actually currently ships on a suede strap that I removed and had it swapped out for a Hirsch strap instead. I really like these straps by Hirsch because they are rubber backed and very comfortable and work really well on sports watches. Back to the watch. So this is just under 40 millimeter dive watch, really excellent proportions, but what to me makes it stand out the most is this domed sapphire crystal, which really looks like a bubble on top of the case. This I know is slightly polarizing feature. There are some folks who really like domed crystals and there are some who prefer a flat crystal, but I think this is one of the better executions I've seen. As you can see, the anti-reflective coating is also very effective, and you can clearly see the dial even at sharp angles. What is especially impressive is how it plays with these markers and sort of makes them look longer in certain angles. Like this one, you can see the 6 o'clock and the 7 markers look long, and then you put straight up, you can see that they're actually changing in shape as such as you move the dial around, which is a really cool effect you have to see in person to truly appreciate. The dial that I have purchased is the dark blue dial. They also offer it in a slate grey style dial. Again, it's not a very mild grey, it's a fairly deep dark grey, and there are choices for the bezel as well. In this case, this is the steel bezel. They do offer it with a sapphire style dive bezel as well. So going on to the rest of the specs, it's right around 48 millimeters lug to lug. It's a very slim profile, around 12.5 millimeters thick, and that actually includes this domed sapphire crystal, which in itself is a couple millimeters. As you can see, the lug profile is very well done in that it curves down a little bit to sort of hug the wrist, and there are multiple layers or levels on it to kind of give a sense of three-dimensionality to the lug shape and the way the watch presents itself. So if you were to hold it at an angle like this, it actually looks slimmer than the 12 millimeters would suggest, like almost like a 8-9 millimeter case profile. On to the dial. The dial is very effective. Some of the pictures didn't really showcase this dial as well, in my opinion, because once I got it in person, I was very impressed with the way these markers were designed. They have good depth and a three-dimensionality to them, and they're sort of shaped like tiny little buckets that are holding loom, because they have steel on 3 sides and they're open on the top. I really like that effect. There's just a tiny hint of color from the second hand with the orange tip. It's a nice touch as well. What I especially like about this dial is, in my opinion, everything is perfectly proportioned, from the font size to where it's printed to the way it's all very symmetric, and the size of the markers. It just all comes together really well. And you've seen several watches where you'll feel there's either too much text, or the font size is all over the place, or you just wish there was some detail that was a little different. But in this case, I would say this dial is just about perfect. The bezel itself is one of the quietest dive bezels I've heard. I do not hear the notchy click sound, which is really surprising. I mean, I was expecting to hear it, and then the first time it's almost too quiet for me. I kind of like a little more of a click sound when I turn the bezel, but it's not that big a deal. It's still it still feels solid and well made, so it gets the job done. One of the things I also like about this is the loom. I think the luminescent material is applied really effectively. Flexibility in terms of being able to change straps, because it's a 20mm lug width. I think that's a big plus as well. You don't necessarily have to wear it on the stock strap or the bracelet, and it's so easy to change the look up like this. I feel the crown sticks out a little more than it needs to. If you look at it from this angle, you can actually see that even though it's fully screwed down, it almost feels like it's not flush with the case, and then there's this tiny little gap at this edge which I wish wasn't there. I think the lugs could have been just another shorter. I know that this is probably something that will look really good with the bracelet, but looking at where the actual strap attachment is, the shape is really cool, but I think overall, if it was just another shorter, I think it would have looked a little better, in my opinion. It's simple, and I understand it's not really a big deal. I'm not saying it needs to be a see-through case back, but a little more personality on the case back will just help the watch stand out a bit more. The watch is quite fantastic, and true value for money at the $775 USD retail that he is charging for it. So that's the review. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and leave any comments if you have any questions or suggestions.